Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night, whatever time of the day it is that you're joining us today. We make up the Tulsa World Scene staff. I'm here with the lovely and talented Jimmie Tramel and the lovelier and talented Grace Wood. And we are here to talk about whatever comes to mind in the world of culture, high and low. And I'd like to start with something that is both high and low. Any of you fans of Ferris wheels?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Do you remember the one at the old Bell's amusement park?
Yes, yes, I
Anybody did you ride on that one?
yes, I did. Weren't
Tell me
they
what you
oh
go on.
sorry. I was gonna say, weren't they supposed to like bring bells back? I remember hearing like stories about that, but I don't know if it ever turned into anything.
They
There
bought
was
property in Broken Arrow, but nothing yet. No
Okay.
firm announcement yet.
and wasn't there they were talking also a little bit about bringing it back or building it in Jinx at one point near the river. I think at
Yeah.
one point. I lived, well, I have lived most of my life in the vicinity of the fairgrounds, and I remember when I believe they called it a downburst hit right over the fairgrounds, and the Ferris wheel was folded up like a taco. So yeah, I'm personally not a fan of Ferris wheels, especially the ones if they're like the where you're enclosed in a cab might be okay, but the ones where you're just sitting in the little seat that pivots back and forth, and I always have the feeling of just spinning backwards, and it just, yeah, not a happy time. But for those who are fans of Ferris wheels, in about, if everything goes right, in about 2 years, there will be one set up on the eastern edge of downtown. It is one of the many features of something that is called Alley Cat Ranch. They have opened a food truck at this location. It's on 2nd Street, right before all the entrances to the IDL, I-244 and the like. And they serve Nick Cochran is the chef, and he's worked in barbecue all his life, and he's doing some interesting things with barbecue. And we have a review of the food that appears in Wednesday's Tulsa World. But this food truck is kind of, they call it a placekeeper for what is being described as the largest adult playground in the state. Some people might hear that and not think pure thoughts, but this is going to be a just basically a place, it kind of an amusement park kind of thing, with a really high-end barbecue as the primary food. There will be a Ferris wheel. There will be pickleball courts. Have any of you played pickleball? Do either
Yes,
of
I'm
you?
not it's pretty fun.
No, but I've
What?
been to the pickle bar at Goldie's.
What exact? Describe it for us, Grace. Enlighten us, please. What is pickleball, and why should so many people be so excited that there will be an outdoor court in East Downtown?
Well, from what I understand, it's like the fastest growing sport right now. And what I think people like about it is that it's not unlike the game of tennis, but it's a much shorter court. So you don't have to move back as far or move across as far. It's like just tennis kind of on like a smaller scale. So I think it's easy for people to play at any age. Like my parents are really into it, but I know a lot of younger people who like it as well. So it's kind of like a more, I guess, accessible version of tennis. So it's pretty fun.
So you use rackets or paddles or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Okay.
you use paddles. They're like bigger, a little bit bigger than a ping pong paddle, but like a similar shape.
Okay. An oversized spatula. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the ball like a tennis ball? Is it, what kind of is it like a Nerf ball? Is it like a wiffle ball? I mean, I can deal with those, but
Yeah, it's kind of like a little wiffle ball, like hollow in the middle.
okay.
So this Alley Cat Ranch is going to have a pickleball. You described it as an amusement park. I mean, it sounds like everything. I mean,
There will
crazy.
be 3 bars, because it's gonna cover an acre. There is a for those of you people who know downtown, as you leave downtown on 2nd Street, you go through the Blue Dome District and all of the new high-rise apartments and the like. And then right before you get on the highway off to the north side of the street, there's this, or has been this abandoned gas station in this great big expansive field. And Watershed Hospitality is the company that bought it. They own Kilkenny's, NOLA, Creole and Cocktails, and the Hemingway Steakhouse. So it's got a good pedigree behind it. And Nick Corcoran is doing some really interesting things with barbecue, adding different flavors to it. I sampled about 5 or 6 things, and all of them were really good. So, they're right now they're only open from 11 until 2:30, but it's always good with places like this to get in early as things start to sell out not long after noon. So there is that. So this may turn out to be, I don't know if it'll become the new Bells, but was there an amusement park on the west side?
Crystal City.
Crystal City. Yeah. Okay. I never went there, but I remember hearing about it. So, well, and I believe, Jimmie, of another dream of an amusement park here in town.
An almost amusement park. I read a new biography on Leon Russell by Bill Janovitz, who did a great job. It's 593 pages, I think, and so many details, even though Leon Russell is from here, that we've never heard before. Like, at one point, someone planted a seed in Leon Russell's mind. He should go out and collect a bunch of amusement park rides. He was going to open Leon Land in Glenpool, but nothing ever came of it. He had all these amusement park rides sitting out in the field that I guess they just rusted away, as far as anyone knows. But can you imagine Leon Land in Glenpool, maybe back in the 70s, 80s, something like that?
That would have been Leon Land. Oh my, that could be the mind wobbles, as they used to say.
The author of this book got big time interviews. Elton John loves Leon Russell, so he interviewed Elton John. He interviewed Bruce Springsteen, who saw Mad Dogs and Englishmen and said, "Hey, I'd like to have a band like that." He interviewed Eric Clapton, who has history in Tulsa and an association with Tulsa musicians. So he got fantastic interviews. The research was great. It's funny, the Easter eggs you find that you like, though. Of all the people he interviewed, I was most happy that he talked to Stuart Margolin. Now, who's Stuart Margolin? He's Angel
on the Rockford Files.
On the Rockford Files, which I love. Right. And why he would interview Stuart Margolin, Bill Janovitz could tell you, but I was just pleasantly surprised to see a Stuart Margolin interview in a book about Leon Russell.
I remember reading an interview with Tom Petty when he was first starting out. He and his band were trying to get to Los Angeles, and they ended up, I think, kind of running out of money in the Midwest. They ended up in Tulsa working at Shelter Records, and he was at a recording session for Leon, and it was time for Leon to do his vocal. And Leon goes in, does one take, and immediately puts it into the mix and puts it up, as they say, puts it up high in the mix, so it dominates the sound. And Tom Petty said, do you think you might want to do another take? And Leon Russell said, oh no, when you sing as bad as I do, just put it up in the mix. That way they don't think you're trying to hide anything.
That's amazing.
Well, speaking of things happening at the church studio, I know this is a tad bit personal, but Grace, you were recently at the church studio.
I was, yeah. My brother
In something of
married.
a churchly way too.
Yeah. My brother got married this past weekend, and they had their rehearsal dinner at the church studio. My brother's a musician and really a huge fan of Leon Russell and the Tulsa sound and everything like that. So it just made perfect sense to have it there. So I thought it would be cool to show the invitations. It says Alex picked Sue's as in guitar pick, and then every recipient got their own little Leon Russell 45. I got Back to the Island. And yeah, they wanted to design it to look like liner notes. So down here, I don't know if you can see it, but it says executive producers Julie and Greg Wood, who are my parents. So yeah, and it was a live room. We had a local musician named Johnny Merle who was playing the Dan Fogelberg piano that's there. And it was just a really, really beautiful thing. So super grateful to the church studio for letting us use that space. And it was just really unforgettable. So yeah, that's my connection to it.
Well, and congratulations to your brother and your new sister-in-law. So
lots of church studio news, because they announced also the musical performers for Carney Fest in April. We'll have that pretty soon. And they're going to work with the Tom Petty estate on some kind of Tom Petty exhibit, going back to your story. So this is turned into the church podcast, but that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. As the son of a minister, I spend a lot of time in church, so it kind of it's a normal thing. So, what else do we have coming up in the pages of the Tulsa World, available at fine newsstands everywhere and at tulsaworld.com? Let us start with Miss Grace.
Yeah, this Saturday for World of Films, I have a story about a really beautiful chateau in Muskogee. It was designed in like the French country style by Charles Faudré for a really prominent Oklahoma family called the Rousey family in the 1960s. And it's just a super ornate and beautiful home. And so for my story on Saturday, I'll have just more information about it, some pictures, as well as some background about the family who it was built for. So yeah, that'll come out this Saturday.
Jimmie, what else? What else besides the biography of Leon Russell do you have?
On Friday, we have a interview with the deer lady from Reservation Dogs. One of maybe my favorite character on Reservation Dogs, the deer lady from Indigenous lore. Teal Horn, a Canadian actress, plays her. She's going to come to Oklahoma this weekend for an Indigenous Comic-Con in Oklahoma City at the First Nations Museum. They've got a lot of guests, but we'll write about that on Friday. And also we have, I'd written previously about a Tulsa person a Broken Arrow person who's on American Idol. On Friday, we'll have an interview with another person with Tulsa connections who's on The Voice this year.
Okay. All right. Well, to keep with the biography thing, I'll have an interview with Barry Friedman, who has published what is going to be the first of 3 volumes of his. He began posting on Facebook his conversations and interactions with his father Jack that were always funny and touching in a sweet way. The elder Friedman passed away right around the 1st of December of last year. But as Barry said, he lived 96 years. It wasn't like, you felt his life was cut short. And so this is kind of as I said, this is the first of 3 volumes that'll be coming out over the next couple of years. So we'll talk to him about that. and also a former Tulsan, David Halpern, who for many years worked as an artist in residence with the National Park Service, has some 800 or more, nearly between 800 and 900 of his photographs taken over the years hiking through, I think it's 13 different national parks, will be now part of the National Park Service archives. And we'll have a conversation with him. He lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico now, but he lived in Tulsa for many years. And most of the time when he was as an artist in resident, he was a resident here of Tulsa too. So those are some of the things that we have coming up, along with a review of the musical Hamilton, which opened earlier this week and will run for 2 weeks at the Tulsa PAC. So a lot of things going on. Want to thank Grace and Jimmie for putting up with me, and for all of you for putting up with all of us. And we will gladly see you later.
Behave.
Bye.